If you have viewed this entire Smart Object video series, you have probably come to the conclusion that working with smart objects has some real advantages. Let's wind up this video series by reviewing those advantages. We began this video series by indicating that the most important thing to understand about smart objects is that a smart object completely preserves the image data. Thus, no matter what editing you carry out on a smart object, the original data is always unchanged. In other words, the edits do not degrade the original data. Then, throughout the series, we covered the 5 unique properties of smart objects. We began with smart objects in Camera Raw. As was shown in the first video, images can be created as smart objects in Camera Raw. The 2 important points here are that editing in Camera Raw is non-destructive, and smart objects that are created in Camera Raw can be reopened in Camera Raw at any time. Thus, we can move in and out of Camera Raw as often as we desire to perform non-destructive edits. Next, we saw how smart objects allow for non-destructive transformations. We also saw how transformations degrade images that are not smart objects. Consequently, it becomes obvious that using smart objects creates higher quality images when transformations are performed during the editing. Our next topic was vector objects. We saw that we can change the size of vector objects without degrading the quality of the objects. On the other hand, changing the size of raster images degrades the images. The advantage here is that smart objects allow for vector objects to remain as vectors. Without smart objects, vector objects are rasterized. Thus, smart objects again give a quality advantage. Perhaps one of the biggest advantages of smart objects is the use of smart filters. The most obvious advantage here is that smart filters are non-destructive. However, for me personally, I find an even bigger advantage is the ability to go back and modify the filters at any time. For instance, if I decide that the radius setting on a sharpening filter needs to be changed, I can just go in and change the radius. Without smart objects, and thus smart filters, this is not possible. Instead, I would have to remove the sharpening and redo the sharpening with a different radius. Finally, with smart objects, we can edit one smart object and all linked smart objects will automatically be updated with the edits. Or, if we choose, we can make a copy of a smart object in such a way that it is not linked to the original smart object. There you have it. Smart objects are the smart way to work in Photoshop. Well, that brings us to the end of this video series. However, before I sign off, I would like to take this opportunity to let you know that you can download the transcripts for this video series, view several other photography videos, and access over 100 photography articles on my ronbiglow.com website.